Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and in this video we will be doing a a POI breakdown on the Jonases, the Jones. I don't know how to pronounce this, but on this POI here. Honestly, it doesn't seem that good of a POI. It seems pretty mediocre in my opinion, but because of that mediocreness, it might end up being a better POI because it might not be conned. Now that would be the case if Clix and Deyy didn't land here, but because they land here, there's a good chance that a fair amount of their fans will also be landing here. So because of that, I don't know. I don't think this is that good of a POI to land at. But, let's go through the breakdown and see what happens. So first off, this place has 28 chests. The majority of the chests are on this side over here. So if you are going to pick a spot to land, you should alpha up this building. And if they land over here, then you just key them because you have way more loot. And if they land on this side, then you guys loot up, you have more loot, and then you push over and be careful of them sneaking up early. So something that might happen is if you send one here, and when they're flying in, they recognize that there's only one guy here. They land here, and they key super quickly. They just grab shit. They have like siphon mats, and they key over. They're inside. They're diving this guy. He can try to support, but they can just turn on them, and you end up losing the fight. So what this guy has to do is find a path that is super quick, a path that matches these guys over here. So if they both end up looting this in 30 seconds, then this guy should also loot in 30 seconds so he can get on the roof and support his teammate is kind of what you need to do. That's really the only play these guys have, is because they have way less loot, they have to push over early. They could push over late. I know the jungle here is kind of like a rat fest. There's a lot of like these bushes, you can kind of hide in them, even though you're not actually invisible, but you can hide in them. So there is some rat fest around here. So their play is either to push early or to rat around, get a 3-2-1, crack you, or even eliminate you off the rip, and then it's a 2v1. That would be this side's play. Then this side over here, they do have the height over here, so they can decide if they can just rotate out and see if they can loot some of this other stuff around here. Maybe even down here if this is unconned, or this whole area. Probably won't be, but it might be. Or they can push over because they do have the advantage. The downside is that if you push over and they're riding around the trees, then they have the advantage because they know where you are and you don't know where they are. So if they're behind this tree and this tree here, he cracks you from this side, this guy's dead, 2v1, you lose. So it's important that I think this guy should try to be the one that loots this area as fast as possible and gets on the roof and starts finding them all out. Because if this guy on the roof here sees this guy riding around and sees this guy going this way, then they can send their own and have a 2v1 over here, kill this guy, and then this guy will run or try to kill him here as well in another 2v1 and win this POI. Now, what might end up happening is you might even just end up 50-50 in this area here. You might get, 4 people landing here, so that's why you need to learn the floor spawns, the chest spawns, the barrels, everything that's in here, and you need to learn where they all spawn. And when you're flying in, you need to mark them to see if there's an SMG, a shotgun, or something you can pick up here to win the fight. Now, supply chest, none. Floor loot surprised me here. There's 67 floor loot spawns. Not much, but pretty good for a small POI like this. They are kind of all close together compared to the Sanctuary where they're way spread out. But, fair amount of floor loot spawns here, so you might be able to leave with a pad. Ammo boxes, not a lot. This surprised me. There's only 13 ammo boxes. So you're going to get most of your ammo to your chest and the floor spawns and then a bit out of the ammo boxes, but honestly, not much. Weapon machines, there are 2. So again, this side gets 1 and this side over here gets 1. So it's pretty even. This guy should calm out immediately, whichever one you're landed on, what's on it, if it's pump, if it's a SMG or whatever. So this guy can come up and he can take this position up here and watch the other side over here. Now, no meta machines, no launch pads, web shooters. So there are 3 web shooter spawns over here. These will be yoinked from Towaway Beach, I guess, or from this split over here. Pretty early, but if you notice that no one is going over here, then and this is unconned, you might be able to grab a web shooter and dip. Now, if you are conned here again, so this team's over here, you're over here, you loot all this, you can grab the web shooters and just leave. Or you can push, it's up to you. But it's good to, when you're flying in, to always watch whichever way you come from, if anyone is landing on this side over here. Damn, I got the burps for some reason. But let's say you land here and this is not conned and you notice that a team lands here, you might be able to come over here, yoink these, and run back before this team actually does push over. But it's going to be pretty quick here in the race here to get the Spider-Man to come back. Now let's go to vehicles. Quad crashers don't matter because they're bugged, and we'll just go through the cars here in the big tires. So you do have a few car spawns here. I mean, you won't be leaving with a car every single time out of this POI, which does suck. So if you don't get these web shooters here and you don't get these cars, then you will have to rotate on foot, which is pretty shitty in my opinion, but you do have some uh, big tire spawns and a little bit of car spawns around. So if these cars are here, then you can kind of sacrifice time a little bit because you can use the car to rotate in, so you can actually go in later and get more loot, more ammo, or more whatever, more surge. You can hold the kids back here or whatever ends up happening. You can just chill in your POI a little bit longer because you do have the rotations to bail you out. You don't have to go on foot. Now, it is important that you also learn the car spawns on the way to zone. So if zone for some reason pulls down here, which it probably never does, you can go to condo and get a car, and you can remember, okay, there's a few truck spawns on the road. There's a fair amount of car spawns over here at the gas station. If we can, run over there, grab a car, and then go to zone. Make sure you know the car spawns because they are actually really important this season. So on to the next then, rifts. So there are basically 2 rifts. We should know that this rift spawn is usually like this. So you probably won't be able to beam them, and these guys you probably won't be able to beam either. Maybe at the very briefly right here, but there's a hill you have to get on and then shoot them. So rifts don't really matter for you, honestly. Zip lines. There are actually some zip lines. I don't think they'll be used that often. Really, the only one that's kind of decent is this one for if you land on this side, because then you can go up or down here, or this guy can land on the zip line. And if there's floor loot spawns here, so let's actually turn on floor loot spawns and see. So there are floor loot spawns over here and some over here. So what you could do, hypothetically, is land here, grab a floor loot zip line, and then rotate and hit all this. And then over here, you could do the same thing. So if you're flying in like this, you get on the zip line, you jump off, you fall faster than the guy that's gliding in. So for some reason, there's a 50-50 over here on this side. You will end up winning that side because you'll fall faster than him gliding. So gas cans don't really matter. Campfires, one on this side. Slurp trucks, none. Barrels. Now there are some barrels, and they kind of tie into coolers. So if we open up barrels and coolers here, if you do land on this side, you can actually get full shield pretty quickly because there's 3 barrels here, and then there's 3 coolers as well. So if you end up being able to loot this whole side in like 45 seconds, and you get max shield from the coolers and the barrels, then you might end up actually being in the loot advantage compared to the other side because their loot is a lot more spread out. So if you get the loot path down over here, you actually might be in the advantage because if they do this split here, then and this guy ends up taking a long time to loot, or he goes over here to loot, then you can actually be in the advantage to win. But you really have to mess with the timing and get it down perfect. Now, I don't know the actual loot path, so you have to go into arena and see, if is it best that we land here and here, go up, hit this, go up together and push like that, better that we go around. I don't know. You just have to try that out for yourself and learn it like that. Now, noms. There are 3 noms. Don't really matter. It'll be lucky if you get more than 2 peppers, so they aren't really that big of a POI or a reason to land here. Reboot van, like I said earlier, is right here, and that's really all the important things of this POI. Is there any clonberries here? I guess there's a little clonberry spawn over here, which is good if you need some shield, but it's, not that important. So I talked a bit about already the setup of this place and how you will fight it. The drop map is created for this build in here, so if you do land on this side, then you will have to either buy another drop map or just go without it and just try to eye the best drop, which definitely is possible. Actually, there are fishing holes here, I think. Fishing holes. Yeah, there's 2 fishing holes here, which honestly, fishing is pretty mediocre this meta with everything else. So I don't know. It's not really that important, the fishes, to be honest. But again, that's really the breakdown of this entire POI. Is just it's split like this, and you have to find your advantages and disadvantages of both sides. And of course, you have the drop map over here. This whole side is based around speed. Okay, that's an awful P, but I said it, so you should be able to read it. So this whole side is speed, and this whole side is loot. So the more time this side gets, the higher of a chance this guy can win. And the faster these guys can loot, the lower of the chance these guys over here can win. So that's kind of what you need to do, is figure out the timing and see if you can get it so you can loot this as quickly as possible and push over. Now you also, like I said before, you have to mess around with how do you push over. Do you just go directly at this house and hope to God that they're not on the roof? Or do you rat your way around? Do you split up? Do you both go the same way? I don't know. You're going to have to test it out and find out. Now, let's say you get the BOI, you were unconned. Where are some surge spots nearby? Jones's is kind of off to the right, so you are on edge of map. Jesus, I don't like this blue text. So you will have to kind of look around for some potential surge spots. Most times, zones will pull over here. But the most common ones are anywhere on the tilted hills. Even in tilted, you could go. The sanctuary hills are good. Get on top of this gas station is good, and the Bugle Mountains are also really nice. So something around here like that. Even get on some of these houses would be a good spot as well in Coney. So something around here you should be paying attention to. Okay, we don't have a car. We need to get moving ASAP. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Next video, I will be doing Rocky Reels, and the drop map is created for the billboard. So then we'll do Greasy, and then I'll see if I can get to Covert and Tilted, but I have no promises. And those Covert is probably the hardest one. Tilted's pretty self-explanatory. You'll probably end up splitting it or clearing out one building and moving on. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Cheers.